Hi, I'm Jason.
And I'm Laura, and we took early retirement and have been traveling around the country in our travel trailer for the last year. In our last video, we left off at Bird Island Basin on Padre Island National Seashore.
Yep. And after Bird Island, we kept driving east along the coast of Texas. And our next stop was Magnolia Beach, which is kind of mid coast Texas. It's a hard pack oyster shell beach on Madagorda Bay. And you can drive your camper out on the beach and camp for free. So we stayed there a week. And it was beautiful. We took a bunch of walks on the beach. That beach was a great running beach. So we were running, every other day there. Beautiful sunsets, cool small town vibe, and a lot of boisterous seagulls.
Lots of boisterous seagulls. It was a beautiful spot. After Magnolia Beach, we made a quick stop in Houston to visit one of Jason's old friends, Miguel, who he's known since 2004, and his partner Colt. They have a beautiful home in Houston with a patio that overlooks the neighborhood. And I really enjoyed meeting the two of them, and it was nice to hang out. And we especially enjoyed meeting their pets.
Yes.
They have 2 dogs and an old cat that spends his days waiting by the fridge. He just wants someone to open the fridge and give him some whipped cream.
He just wants that whipped cream. He's a total whipped cream addict.
It's pretty funny. We just did a boondocking on the street overnight and had coffee and breakfast and more chatting in the morning. And then we made our way to our second stop, which was to visit my niece Erica and her husband John and their beautiful family. We spent the evening with them catching up, and we grilled out on the back patio and just had a lovely time learning about what's going on in their lives. They live in a really beautiful neighborhood, a beautiful home, and we just showed up Uncle Eddie style and parked in the front of their house with the truck and trailer and had a really good time. No one cared, and we took advantage of their running trail there in the morning and then headed on our way.
Yep. And so after Houston, we drove along the Gulf Coast to New Orleans. We both kind of wanted to see New Orleans. Neither one of us had ever spent a lot of time there. We walked around on Frenchman Street and took in some jazz music. We walked down Bourbon Street, of course, and got a drink and drink or two. Laura really wanted to check out the burlesque clubs.
Not true.
But I was not comfortable with that, so we passed. The other cool thing we did there, if you buy a bus pass, you can ride not only the buses, but they have boats that are part of public transport. So we bought a bus pass for like a couple bucks and took some boat rides on the Mississippi, went over to Algiers Point and had a beer.
New Orleans was fun. But then we had to leave New Orleans and go to our next stop, which was Gulfport, Mississippi. And my parents, Earl and Sylvia, and their friend Nora had planned to visit the Island View Casino and Resort in Gulfport, Mississippi for the week. And we met up with them there. And we had a great visit. We saw some historic buildings. We spent some time on the beach. They have a very long, beautiful beach there all along the coast. And played casino games, of course. We also played a lot of cribbage, the 5 of us, and we learned that you can actually play cribbage with more than 2 people.
Hey, you can play cribbage with 4 people.
We had no idea.
2-on-2. It was super fun.
It was really fun. The other really fun outing was the shrimp boat. There's a shrimp boat tour there, and the guy who runs it's kind of a character. He takes you out in the shrimp boat and throws a net out and kind of gives a demonstration of how they catch shrimp in that area and all the different critters that they can pull up, and just about the area, the economics and the ecology of shrimping. That was really, really fun and interesting.
Yeah, that was awesome. So after Gulfport, we drove on up to Atlanta. We wanted to see the Martin Luther King National Historic Park there. It's a really interesting park. The neighborhood in which MLK Jr. grew up has been turned into a national park, and they preserved all the buildings and the history. It was fascinating.
It's very unique.
Yeah, it was fascinating. And then after that, we decided to do some volunteering. That's something that we had talked about, but hadn't made it happen yet. So there was a cool program there with Hands on Atlanta, building these curriculum packets for a STEM program for elementary school kids. It was a build your own catapult kit, and they needed volunteers to put the curriculum kits together. So we did that for a day and had a good time doing that.
Yeah,
I think
that
we'll
was,
probably try to do some more things like that in the future.
it was definitely worth doing. It was fun. Then after Atlanta, we continued north and made one of our favorite stops. This is probably in the top 5 places we stayed. It was Lake Santeetlau near Robbinsville, North Carolina. And the land around the lake is publicly owned, or it's managed by the Forest Service. So they have a ton of free campsites right on the water. It was amazing. The site we got was beautiful. It was on like this little peninsula. It was spring, there was flowers, the trees were leafing out. We had really great weather, and it was just a really nice stay. We enjoyed hiking. We also found some morels. That was just by dumb luck. I saw them on a run, and we ended up picking enough for 2 whole meals, which was delicious and fantastic.
It was awesome.
The only downside was one of the sites we stayed in when we first got there had some trash. So we were picking up trash, and I got into the poison ivy really, really bad, like urgent care center bad.
Yeah,
so
it was super bad.
that was not fun, but I'm over it now. I'm well healed.
Yep. So after North Carolina, we moved on to Smoky Mountains National Park. And we camped inside the park on the east side at Smokemont. We saw a ton of elk. I didn't know there were elk there. I associate elk with like the Rocky Mountains and out west. But apparently there's a Smoky Mountain elk herd also.
And they
huge
just make themselves at home all around the campgrounds.
They were everywhere.
Yeah.
In the river, on the trail, in the campground. So that was cool. It was fun seeing so many elk. And we did a beautiful hike. We kind of got lucky. Smoky Mountain area is not known for visibility, and that's why it's called the Smoky Mountains, I guess. The air is usually hazy, but on the day we were there, it was completely crystal clear. The day we hiked, like 27-mile visibility, so you could see half of North Carolina.
It was
from the
beautiful view from
the mountains.
our midpoint of our hike. It was really, really nice.
And then before we moved on from the Smokies, we did go to Gatlinburg just to see the world's largest tourist trap. And we went.
I dragged Jason to the Salt and Pepper Shaker Museum.
It was great. 27,000 salt and pepper shakers. I can highly, if you think it would be fun to see a salt and pepper shaker shaped like an ambulance next to a salt and pepper shaker shaped like a hot dog, next to a salt and pepper shaker shaped like a clown, and then 26,997 more salt and pepper shakers, I highly recommend it.
Anyway, so after the Salt and Pepper Shaker Museum, at that point, we'd been on the road almost a year, which is a pretty big milestone, and we decided to come full circle and stop at the first stop, which was Red River Gorge, Kentucky. So it was fun to see the differences between our first stop there a year ago and this stop last year. We made reservations at an RV park in advance because we weren't sure we'd be able to find a place to stay and just wanted to have that security. This time we just showed up. We were a little bit more careless with driving. We went through the tunnel, which was the sign said it had enough clearance. We were like, oh, let's go for it. And it did, but it was close. It was a little hairy. We found a great dispersed campsite along the Indian Creek and spent about a week there too. And we met with Donnie, our friend Donnie from last year. Hi, Donnie.
Hi, Donnie.
We went hiking again with Donnie, and we met a new friend, Carol. She was also camping at Indian Creek, and the 4 of us went hiking and went to the arches and just had a really nice time together. It was really, really beautiful visit. Again, the weather was great, so that helped. Spring, there's flowers and all kinds of things. It was really good. So that pretty much brings you up to speed on our spring trip and return to Wisconsin. And we're currently in Minnesota at one of the lakes of their 10,000 lakes. And we'll be putting out another video in a little while. We are going to continue our travels. We're going into Canada next. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.